I wash my soul in the ocean, in the tears of God, I let it go.
Welcome to your 2021 video horoscopes with me, Lada from Astrolada. Thank you so much for choosing me to be astrologer for you for the year 2021. And what can I say? Just a quick summary. I'm delighted to say that 2021 will be way easier than 2020. You remember 2020, if you saw the videos that I created for 2020, I warned everyone this will be one of the toughest year ahead. For 2021, the action is moving from the cardinal signs like Aries, Capricorn, Cancer, and Libra, who had it the hardest, whether it was their ascendant, sun, or moon in 2020. It's moving to the fixed signs, which is Taurus, Leo, Aquarius, and Scorpio. And when I say action, it means they'll have life-changing events. They'll have something that takes them to the next level. But passing from one level to the other is always a bit more difficult. Especially fixed signs, they don't like changes so much. But again, it will be, I promise 2021 will be way easier generally for the world and each one of us. Just a few people will be a little bit more tested. And 2021 is when a new age for humanity starts, generally speaking. This is when Saturn and Jupiter start their new cycle for the first time in almost 800 years in an air sign. I mean, they kickstart this 200-year period. They met in the 80s in an air sign, but the last time they met in Aquarius was 1226, something like that, 800 years ago. So we'll start a brand new life, brand new era for humanity. You can check out my video, which is for free on YouTube, about the year 2021. For the whole world, there is new hope. Aquarius energy is coming in. There is a new hope for humanity, new future. Life will start splitting into society will start splitting into, not in a bad way, but in a way that instead of fighting and not seeing eye to eye, it will separate somehow. There will be people that want to live alternatively and people that want to follow the normal rules. But anyway, let's get back to you because those horoscopes are specific for you. So let me tell you what you need for those horoscopes in order to work for you. You need to find out your sun, moon, and ascendant signs. I want you to check all three of them. If you can't afford to buy all three, just listen to your ascendant sign at least. But you need to know your time of birth to listen to the ascendant sign. And you need to know the degree as well. And if you have time to watch all three videos, the ascendant, sun, and moon, then listen to the specific degrees when I speak about the moon and the sun especially. For the ascendant, pay attention to everything, the houses, whatever. For the sun and moon, especially pay attention if I mention your specific day of birth, if it's the sun, or the degree of the moon as well. The houses can also be relevant. Who will be affected most? Everyone feels affected by the ascendant sign, but you need to be very correct with your time of birth. Like if your mom told you between 2 and 3 o'clock, no, it's like you need 2:34. For example, PM. And within 2-3 minutes at least to have your correct time, or 5 at most. So listen to your ascendant sign and the degree, start with it. Then listen to your sun sign. And of course, with the sun sign, you just know which day you're born, but you can check the degree as well. Listen to your moon sign. If you're born during the day, which means before the sunset, while the sun was above the horizon, the sun sign is very important for you because the sun becomes your ruling light. If you're born at night, like I am, when the sun has set, you have to find out what day the sun set on the day you were born and rose. So when you know your time of birth, whether it was day or night. So if you're born at night, the moon, it will be very important for you because the moon becomes your queen, the light. So, but I would advise, listen to three of those: ascendant, sun, and moon. If you're a woman, the moon sign is usually very important. If you're a man, the sun sign is usually very important. If you're a woman in a competitive career or who has her own business or who is very much into her career, the sun sign becomes very important because the sun sign is our goals, is our masculine side, taking decisions. Let me tell you what the difference, the subtle differences between listening to your ascendant, sun, and moon is. With the ascendant, it is the physical body and your fated events. They're kind of pre-recorded for you. You really see the ascendant sign in when you, if you have your correct time of birth, you would see it as basically as events that materialize, that are happen around you, and they've been already, usually they're like preset somehow. They're set in stone. The ascendant is the most material aspect of the whole horoscope. It's kind of like our path, our destiny, whatever you want to say, the destiny of the soul. It's a little bit, we still have free will to some extent, but the ascendant is one of the most set ones. So you'd see very material manifestations with the ascendant sign. With the moon sign, the moon is the soul and the feelings. So a lot of women, because women are more connected with their feelings, tend to actually resonate a lot with their moon sign. And they're like, yes, those things for the ascendant sign are happening, but what really, where my whole heart is and where my whole attention has been and where my whole excitement has been and my focus or pain or sadness, whatever, has been as per the moon sign prediction. So do check it out. While the sun sign is, and the moon sign is, again, the moon is connected to the past, so it's a little bit more karmic. It's something that has been maybe programmed for the soul before our birth type of thing. While the sun sign is the spirit, where we have the most free will. And with the sun sign, people often resonate when they listen to their sun sign. They say, wow, it's so correct. Especially people, the more self-sufficient and independent you are, the more and how do I say, the more it's the sun is where we have the free will power. And this is where we can influence the sun sign prediction, the events, the most. And this is what usually our goals, our dreams are about. The sun is like this ideal of the spirit where you want to reach, something that feeds your spirit, so to speak. So that's why a lot of people, especially in the West or in more, where people have more free will, generally in countries like that, to determine their life, to determine their direction in life, because there are a lot of countries you cannot still do that. Some countries are still set like 1,000 years back, in mentality. But where there is more free will, usually in the more developed countries, or then the sun is very powerful. People can feel the sun very powerful, especially people that, as I said, men feel the sun very strongly. Women who have their own goals, who have freedom to go after career and things like that, to create their own careers. And especially if you have a stellium of planets in the same sign as your sun. For example, I'm Aries sun, but I also have their Venus, Mercury, Mars. So then I would feel the prediction from the sun sign very, very strongly. Maybe not as strongly as the ascendant, but it will be up there. And with the sun sign prediction, we have the most ability, when you listen to it, to take the higher road, to use our free will to change things to the best manifestation possible. With the ascendant, with the moon, well, with the moon, if you can control your feelings, but it's harder to control your feelings. With the sun sign, if you can control your thoughts, it's easier to control your thoughts than your feelings. With the ascendant sign, it's kind of more like set. So I told you this. How do you find out what your sun, moon, and ascendant signs are? You can, let me share my screen with you. You can go to my website, astrolada.com, where you can find any other, astrolada.com. Here it is. You can find any other astrology website, but I have this free birth chart calculator. You can go there. You can enter your details, your name, whatever it is, your birth time. Let's say you're born, okay, maybe you're not 8 years old, but the minute, you don't need the second. Very few people know the second. Your town, I'll say New York, continued, so it's easier. And here from the drop-down menu, you find out which New York it is. Let's say there might be New York in Texas, Henderson, okay? Let's say I was born there. And this is what you get. It might look like alien, alien stuff to you. But all you need to do is go here, planetary details. And I want you to take those first three, ascendant, sun, and moon. You see those three. and write the degree and the sign. So this person that I invented has the ascendant in Taurus at 24 degrees. Don't look at the second number, the second row. These are the seconds. So just round it up, 24 degrees Taurus. The sun is at 16 Aries. Usually everyone knows their sun sign. This is the sun sign is the same, every year at the same time. And the moon sign of this person is Libra at 8 degrees. Write those down. And if you hear when you're watching Libra, for example, we mentioned Libras born with sun, moon, or ascendant from 3 till 9 degrees, they would feel this influence very strongly. Well, 8 degrees is within that influence. So pay attention what I'm talking about. You're going to feel, especially when I give specific degrees or days. If you're using for the moon, it will be a degree. And you hear your degree or that it's within the range, pay attention to that. You're going to feel this big time. The same with the sun sign, but with the sun sign, I also give the day you were born. For example, people that have degree at 16 Aries, they're born around the 4th or 5th of April. Every year is the same. The ascendant, I'll give the degrees again. So if I say if you're born Taurus, for Tauruses who have anything in degrees from say 12 to 26, and this person has a 24 degrees in Taurus, you will feel this influence, and so on and so on. If you don't hear your degree, just listen. Start with the ascendant sign. The whole prediction for the ascendant sign will, the houses. Then go through the sun sign if you're born during the day, the moon sign second, or a second if you're born at night, especially if you're a woman, and end with one of the three and listen to the three of them and see which one you resonate the most with. See which one makes the most sense for you. Watch it again in the middle of the year, towards the end of the year, and you will figure out which planet actually is very strong. But always the ascendant is so important, guys, if you know your time of birth. And because anyway, I cannot fully give you specific reading. I just look at the whole sign, the whole Taurus I'm going to be speaking, or the whole Gemini. But there is a way for you to be following daily your personal transits like no one else in the world has them. It's again on the website, Personal Transit Calendar. You go there, you register. I already have an account. 50,000 people are using it, I think, already. For free. It's weekly, it's for free, but nowhere else in the world are you gonna, and I show you how to use it here. There is an instructional video how to use the transits, but here you put your details. You can put as many people as you want. You're gonna get free for them, or you can buy, you can buy for a year transits or for a month transits. A lot of the people that are subscribe for a month at a time. And you can just watch your specific transits here. They come out. No one else in the world will have the same transits as you on the same time, unless you have a twin born at the same place, at the same time, at the same minute as you. Otherwise, those transits will always be different. And you can go through each day of the year and see which transits you have. And you click and you read, and that will, you don't need my videos. But in those videos, what I strive to do, because a person has so many transits throughout the year, look at that. This is just for 1 month. So many transits. How do you make sense of them? In those yearly videos, this is what I help you do, especially if you watch them for your ascendant, to a lesser degree, sun and moon, but they're still relevant. And I give you the bigger, fuller picture, instead of like separate, you have like, for example, look how many transits I'm currently having this day today, and, so, which one, but I give you like a summary of it, like wrap it up. All right. There you go. I think we're ready. If you have written your sun, moon, or ascendant, let's dive in. But before that, just a little quick prayer for God and to bless the year 2021 and to protect anyone. So, dear Father, Mother, Creators, dear Jesus, dear Mary, Buddha, Allah, whoever Whoever has their higher power from whatever place they're praying in the world, turn towards your higher power, to the angels, to the exalted beings that are taking care of humanity, that are selflessly helping us every day, our guardian angels, our departed beloved ones. Thank you so much for protecting us, for keeping us sane during the year 2020, for raising our consciousness collectively during that year. And I ask you for this new age that starts from the year 2021, from this brave new world. Let it be tilted towards the positive. Let the balance go towards the positive. Let more and more souls wake up to the divine love, to brotherhood, to peace. We're entering the age of Aquarius full speed from the beginning of 2021. May God, your desire and your plan for the world be fulfilled through each one of us. May brotherhood, love, equality, fraternity come, compassion between each other rather than separation. And let everyone who is watching this video find out the most important information for them, reach their heart, reach their soul. Let them connect with the information that is most relevant for them, and let them be prepared and help them through the path, and help me be a good channel and a good channeler of your wisdom, of your knowledge, so I can connect the people with the right inspiration. Amen. All right, let's start. Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, Rising 2021. Sagittarius, I have good news for you this year. I want to make a quick summary before I delve into the details so you know what to expect. 2021 is when the so-called karma or desire houses of Sagittarius will be activated. The desire houses are the ones that are the 3rd, the 7th, and the 11th from your own sign. And according to ancient astrology, when these houses are activated, we are able to fulfill our desires, because there are different reasons that we come on earth. Some, there are 4 reasons everyone comes on earth for: to pay off karma, these are the karmic houses, for liberation, others are there is also purpose to come for material, financial success, these are the earth houses, and there are houses for self-growth, these are the dharma houses. But you're getting activated the kama or desire houses in 2021 by Saturn and Jupiter, by the North Node, and by Mercury Retrograde. It goes retrograde everywhere in those 3 houses. So this year you're gonna come closer to a big desire of yours. And not only that, when the desire houses are activated, ancient astrology tells us that we get to manifest what we want. There is a song, you can't always get what you want, but you'll get what you need. Well, usually we get what we need the rest of the time when planets activate other houses. What is good for us according to divine plan, which might not feel like it's good for us from our own perspective, because it might not necessarily what we desire, might not necessarily be what we desire. But when the karma houses, karma, desire, not karma, karma, the desire houses are activated by the planets that manifest, this is when our personal desires, where your heart is, something that your own ego wants, you can manifest it and make it happen. So that's some of the good news. And we'll go into it step by step for the next hour and a half, 2 hours. But I just wanted to make the summary. And let's start a little bit with a recap. For the past 2.5 years, Saturn has been in your 2nd house. Jupiter in the last year as well, 2020. So the biggest test and the biggest learning lessons you had, especially if you're ascendant in Sagittarius, to a lesser degree Sun and Moon, but still, were about finances. Were about how to manage your finances and resources, how to become more mature there, how to manifest materially. They were more of a material nature, of a survival, resources nature type of thing. Some of you maybe had their finances restricted in some way, so they can learn to manage them better, so they can learn to
not only manage, but to respect finances and resources, to be more mature about those matters. Others of you consciously restricted your own expenses and your finances because you were trying to save for something, or because you were trying, to usually to buy something, to save something. That's the best case, when you consciously restrict yourself. But a lot of your mental and physical energy was going to deal with such matters: resources, financial stability of your family, material manifestation in the world. But because Saturn was involved, Saturn always gives restrictions there and worries. And hopefully Jupiter in the last year, 2020, kind of brought up some opportunities financially there as well. But Jupiter was extremely weak, because Jupiter is the planet that gives us something easy, but Saturn delays something for us and blocks it and makes us work very hard for it. It doesn't mean it does not give it to us, but we really have to put a lot of efforts. And for you, it was financial stability, resources, and self-worth as well. That's a house of self-worth. But because Jupiter is very weak in Capricorn, it might have just expanded the worries of Saturn. But hopefully now I know a few people with Sagittarius rising that I've been observing, that they've been having a few financial opportunities appear, but it was always very long drawn out and difficult in the last couple of years. But hopefully you learn to manage your resources. You kind of consciously learn, and a lot of you probably realize that you don't need as many things as you thought before. Kind of Saturn wants to trim the necessary when it comes to, some of you might have given away clothes or possessions, even cut them off, learn to take care of them better. But a lot of you might have, especially with the recession in 2020, you might have realized that, and the pandemic, that so many material possessions are, or physical enjoyments as well. This is the second house, physical pleasures, and that we don't need as much as we thought we need. And Sagittarius, you are the one that realized that hopefully the most. And your also second house on the deep spiritual level is your self-worth. So some of you maybe did not even have to deal with financial material issues so much as having to reevaluate their own worth. And sometimes, especially at the beginning of Saturn transit in the second house, maybe 2018 or 19, the self-worth of a person is hit hard. And Saturn wants you to build more solid self-worth based on something more long-lasting, rather than build on sandy foundations. Sometimes people's self-worth is based on how much I have in the bank, or how young I look, or do I have pretty clothes, or am I as slim as the girl next door, or am I making as much money as my colleagues. Sometimes people base out their self-worth on such external things. And when Saturn passes through the second house, Saturn wants you to anchor the self-worth on something more enduring and long-lasting. So hopefully you work through those matters. But now when Saturn and Jupiter both come out of your second house, some of you also learn to restrict their food. Some of you had to deal with dental issues when Saturn transits the second house, which rules the mouth. It also rules what we put in the mouth, basically what we eat. Some of you basically had to use willpower and strength and self-discipline, which is what Saturn is, to retrain yourself, your appetites, the second house, to retrain what you allow into your body and to make it your new normal, basically. So some of you could have restrained certain food groups or things that, put in your mouth, whatever substances it is. Others, second house can rule your style, your beauty style, what you consider attractive, what you consider valuable. And with Saturn transiting there, a lot of you, especially the ascendant, maybe the moon sign as well, the sun sign to a lesser degree, if you're sun sign Sagittarius, but you had to, some of you change their tastes in things. They made them more, they simplified them, they streamlined them, they made them more elegant. This is the nature of Saturn, and they introduced new tastes of Saturn being there, whether in food or whether in Saturn wants more simplicity, something less, more simplicity, while Jupiter introduces new such tastes and what you consider valuable. All right, and when Saturn and Jupiter start moving out from your second house, they enter the third house from December 2021, but they will be there for the whole from December 2020, but they will be there in your third house the whole 2021, and Saturn will stay there up till 2023, so for 2 full years. So your lessons will change so much, and the area of social activity and the area of activity that you are and what you're thinking about will shift. You'll notice it very strongly. It's like you've learned those lessons, you're moving on to other lessons. You've learned the lessons of scarcity of resources or how to manage those resources, and now there is a different set of duties and responsibility to attend to. But there is something very cool that is happening when Saturn moves from the second house from your sign. In ancient astrology, there is something they call Sadesati, the 7-year period while Saturn is transiting the sign before, the sign of, and the sign after your moon sign, and they even said your ascendant sign, and to a lesser degree the sun sign. So they would say like it's like a 7-year. I've seen it most strongly when it's the moon sign and the ascendant. So they call it the ascendant, even not the ascendant so much, the moon sign especially. So basically the last 7 years, go back from 2013 basically, something like that, till 2020, including Saturn was passing the sign before, the sign of your ascendant or moon or sun, and the sign after that. So in ancient astrology, they were calling it Sadisati, the 7-year hole, like you fall in a hole in the ground, and it's kind of very hard to manifest. And it's because Saturn suppresses the vitality of the main, the sun, the ascendant, or the moon, especially the moon. The ancient focused on the moon and the ascendant second, but still, because we're using the sun sign as well, I'm going to use it for it. So this is when it tends to give the toughest lessons, that when it's in the sign before, after, and before, of, and after. And that takes 7 years, guys. And I felt it very strongly with my moon sign. It's almost like I was in some kind of a bit of a dark spot for 7 years. It's not like life stopped, but it was so hard to manifest what my heart desired. It was so hard to, the challenges, it was almost like I was there in a well and I'm here. I want to do something, but I was in that well, And I've seen it many times with clients as well, especially if you're ascendant and moon in Sagittarius. Okay, let's say sun as well. So it's kind of, they called it even the dark night of the soul. I wouldn't go so far as calling it the dark night of the soul, but it's just a time of when contraction happen of your vitality, when it's kind of withdrawing, more challenges happen. And the ancients said the moment Saturn moves in the third sign, so we're counting it yours as the first, then the second. Saturn's been for 2.5 years here, and then it's moving in the third sign from your ascendant or moon. Okay, let's say the sun as well. This is when the shackles fall off. This is when the outer restrictions and everything that was slowed down around you starts to lift up. And this is when you can start with your own efforts to mold reality according to how you want it to be, and to see the results that you want. It's not like you didn't do anything for the past 7 years, but almost always, when Saturn transits those signs, as they call it, the Sadesati 7-year period, the lessons that come, the things that manifest are not always aligned with our own desire. And maybe we've gained some wonderful things during that time as well, but maybe it's not something that you dreamed of or wanted and according to your plan, and it was more testing. Everything always has a silver lining, but now it's like what you're gonna start doing for the next 2 years, especially very strongly 2022, because Jupiter is also there, is that you finally start feeling, okay, things are going like I want them to. Okay, I can finally start manifesting and becoming visible. Just like when when Saturn is, when the sun is too close to Saturn, Saturn becomes invisible, so its power is taken away. So the same way, Saturn has to move away from your sign, whether your sun is there, your moon or ascendant. And when it's in this relationship of third sign from yours, and the third sign is your willpower in ancient astrology. So Saturn going there allows you to, you see the third house, the 7th and the 11th, but we're talking about the third now, is the things that we desire. So when Saturn goes there, you'll be able to work on those things for 2 years. Things that you exactly desire, how you envision them. Plus the third house in ancient astrology rules courage and strength and willpower. And when these two powerful planets, the biggest planets in our solar system, Saturn and Jupiter, they imagine your willpower increases. Jupiter will grow it and expand your willpower and courage to do difficult things. They call the third house the house of difficult things because it's the house of learning skills and making things happen with your hands. Like, for example, the first house might be the idea you have when you plan. The second house is you find the resources, and the third house is you build up whatever idea you did with your hands. So it needs skills, it needs patience and know-how. And Saturn transiting there in Jupiter give you exactly those things. So maybe some idea you've been having for years, and you finally be able to put it together, to see it emerge, to see it become visible. So now manifests. So now the desire, this idea, becomes reality when Saturn and Jupiter trigger the third house from your sun, moon, or ascendant. And till then it was like preparation time, to get the idea or to get the resources, to learn how to manage them, and now put it together. Third house rules the hands, actual building stuff, And not only that, to have the courage and overcome the fear, So Saturn and Jupiter, it's fantastic, the ancient said when Saturn transits the third house from ascendant or sun or moon, you finally get to manifest and to have the know-how, the courage, the willpower, But it's not going to happen overnight. It might take 2 years because Saturn is there 2 years, So how can it also play out? The moment it enters your house, your third house, Saturn and Jupiter, they will put you on a path of learning as well, because the third house is to acquire skills. And a lot of you Sagittarius might find yourself like learning something you've always been afraid to do, like learn a new language, learn to drive a car, learn to, to knit, learn to learn a new profession, learn new skills. You become a student when Saturn and Jupiter enter your third house. If you have any opportunity to learn, especially like a training, almost like hands-on experience rather than learn some kind of theories only. No, this is more like going to the laboratory, test things, or work with jumping with both feet and starting your own. The third house rules the self-made business and self-made wealth as well. So starting and doing it, and in the process you learn while you're doing it. And take some quick courses, trainings, instructional trainings and conferences. You're going to see your interest in such things increase a lot. And it's a slow process learning a new skill, like learning a language. It takes a couple of years. That's the duration of Saturn transiting the third house. But Jupiter will bring you the big enthusiasm to finally get yourself moving in that direction, to learn what you need to learn, whatever skill it is, whatever, whether it's to make a website, whether it's to run a business. These are all third house skills. How to communicate, how third house rules media. If you want to learn how to make videos, if you want to learn how to conquer social media and create a business online, wow, this is all third house skills and activities. You'll be able to do that. I told you that the third house is self-made wealth in ancient astrology. It's nothing that you inherit. It's nothing that comes to you by merit or through other people. No, the wealth that you can create when Saturn and Jupiter are in the third house comes through your own skills. What qualities, what skills you've learned, your communication, whatever, For some, it might be doing something pottery with hands or painting. For another, might be writing. For another, might be making videos like me, or teaching, or instructionals of any sort, making websites. Whatever your skill is, you can now make it into a business. You can turn it into a commercial activity. You can turn it into, you can bring it to audience in some way and organize it into a commercial entity of some sort. Because third house on another level rules business. Business is all about third house things. Using your skills, using your intellect. Sales rules the third house. So some of you might go on a journey to master sales, to master marketing, advertising. Saturn, the third house, rules all of those things. How do you engage with others in communication, present them ideas, and get them on your side? Third house rules associates, as well. So you're going to be getting a master's degrees from life in those areas. How to start a business, how to make commercial activities of any sorts, how to interact with others, how to advertise if you want any such things. If you already have a business, definitely will be some restructuring administrative there. If you work in any career that is connected to marketing, advertising, media, social media, writing, speaking, training, conferences, meetings, administrative work, white collar activities. Wow, so trade, sales, it's all third house, guys. And you're gonna have an incredible year, 2021. It's gonna be hard work because Saturn never gives you anything like that. So you have to be prepared to take to upgrade your knowledge, to study more, to do something over and over and over, some project or commercial activity. You have to be ready for that hard work and not to despair, to try it over and over. But that's exactly what Saturn will give you, this perseverance, while Jupiter will bring you those commercial opportunities, or those opportunities for new skills and knowledge. And to expand, to make it, to upgrade. Jupiter upgrades, brings new, Saturn allows you to integrate all the existing knowledge, and experience. Jupiter brings new knowledge that will grow that area of your life, that will give even better results. And they say whenever Saturn and Jupiter transit the same sign or the same house, they manifest that house. So you can manifest, if you've always wanted to write a book, the next 2 years might be the time. If you always wanted to publish something, if you always wanted to be an online presence, or to have online business, or if you're not even online, it's any kind of business where you sell and buy, where you sell, if you always wanted to learn some skill, now you're gonna do it over the next couple of years, starting from 2021. Even if you don't want to, somehow universes will spin you in that, circumstances will spin you and put you in that position. Another thing that the third house is communications. And because of Saturn influence there, you can always it can create some sense of inadequacy in communication. And this pushes you to start to learn to express yourself better, to master the spoken and written word better, to train to maybe speak publicly or whatever. I remember that's what I was doing when Saturn was transiting the third sign from my moon. That's when I took that's when I started my astrology business, and for the first time I had to go and speak publicly, and that was my biggest fear. I could not even go in a shop and ask how much something cost, because I felt I felt like I could not be heard, and that it's ridiculous. I'll never speak. I'll be always quiet with groups of people, small groups of people. I was the very shy person, and Saturn, when it started transiting the third house from my moon, even intensified it more. But I was like, no, I have to do that. And that's when I started shooting videos. When I learned how to edit videos, how to make websites, all those commercial and business activities and skills that I'm constantly using to this day, 10 years later. So that's what you're gonna do. And that's when I started the business as well. That's why finally I became visible. You see, Saturn from the third sign, from ascendant or moon or sun, you start coming out, becoming visible. You whatever you've dreamed for, you manifest it finally. And that's when I had to face my biggest fears and go and speak publicly in parks. I was always recording before outside, and there would be crowds of people watching me. My biggest fear, honestly, I was trembling the first few times. And then over the 2 years Saturn passed there, I was doing it in front of the Eiffel Tower, in front of the poshest places that I was so shy before to even walk by. So you confront those fears then, and you do it. And you become so skillful, you master those skills. But it's not an easy job, guys. It's not an easy job, but you have to push. And so you perfect communications. And I was super lame. If you watch my videos from 10 years ago when Saturn was transiting that house, you'll see I was like, touching myself all the time. Like, it's painful to see it, you know, but you master it. By the end of that by the end of the Saturn being there, by the end of the second year of Saturn's stay, I was feeling pretty comfortable, but initially it's nightmare. So any such activities, if you want to do that year, and the next one will really bring you up there. And even if you're not in such kind of business like me, any kind of business that requires skills, you might be a painter, you might really upgrade your skills, painting skills, take like a new technique, or you might be making, you might be an agriculturist and grow a farmer. And you might, while Saturn and Jupiter and there, you just learn new techniques for farming. You might incorporate some kind of a, decide to become organic. So you have to really retrain and relearn totally different skills for farming. Apply this to any business, to any career, to any knowledge and skill. So these are the things you'll be doing, guys. And to be honest, always the result of Saturn in the third house tends to be very productive. Usually while it's still there, kind of such activities feel like, I'll never master it. Oh, it's so hard. Oh, the skill, or, oh my God, I'm so lame in communicating. I'm so lame in, you beat yourself up while Saturn is there. And by the time Saturn moves out of there, you turn back and you're like, wow, I've really upped my game there. Wow, now I'm doing it naturally. The skill that I was sucked at, by the time Saturn, by 2023, when it moves out of your third house, you'd look back and you'd be like, how did it happen? Look at that. I'm actually quite good at this now. So yeah, you do things you were so scared to do before, and you'd probably throw tantrums and be upset about it at the beginning, and at the end you'd be so proud that you persevered, and believe me, the results will be great, because Saturn is in its own Mula Trikona sign, or its own sign, Aquarius, where it gives very good productive results. So it's going to come to you. So a lot of you might start their own business. A lot of you might get buried in a lot of administrative responsibilities. And if you're in any career that's administration, business organization, planning, management of any sort, is third house as well, to manage a small group of people. If your work involves small group collaborations as well, this will be very busy, demanding time. Sometimes you'll have to redo over and over the project. Sometimes you might not feel heard in the group. If you have colleagues at work, when Saturn transits the third house, one tends to feel a little bit alienated, or the social interaction is all about work, but they tend to feel like unheard or not understood well in their communication, and feel frustrated. Might not feel heard by people in your everyday life as well. Third house is siblings, relatives, friends, people in your workmates, mates. So initially it might feel a bit frustrating, but that's what Saturn wants to push you to learn: how to communicate more effectively, more structured, less ambiguously, to the point, without wasting time, and how to be heard. Saturn is the heaviest planet. So Jupiter is the heaviest planet, and it's there, and Saturn is the heaviest energy. So gravitas, how to have presence, how to be heavy at your place when you say something in communication, to be heard. And all your insecurities in regards to communication and being heard initially will come to the surface, like it did for me when I started first recording videos. And and you might feel criticism from others about that, but you have the added bonus that Jupiter is also there. So it's not just Saturn trying to beat you with on the head when it comes to those matters and being critical towards you, and you being very critical towards yourself, but it's also Jupiter, which already gives you the accolades and the opportunities to master it faster and with more ease. And so you're going to start seeing the results of this. You're going to advance faster than normal, and you're going to start seeing the results already from 2021. By the end of 2021, when Jupiter leaves, you'd see some results in those third house activities. It's with skills, with better improved communication, better sales skills, business skills, better social communication skills as well. You can work, for example, on some plan of attracting more clients, or marketing or advertising for a product to get out there, to polish your presentation skills. But of course, initially, because Saturn is there are always certain difficulties you have to overcome. And I've often seen when Saturn transits such a social house, the third house of communications, usually people here, when it happens, they stop they don't want to waste time on superficial chit chat and just on some kind of random social interactions, going to the bar, spending a few hours chatting with people like that, if it's not productive. Saturn wants results, and productive results. So you might feel like that you're bored with superficial conversations, that you don't have patience for superficial or social engagement, say like hanging out with the mothers from school, drinking wine there, or just like endless or long wasting your time in social interactions that do not give productive results. So often when Saturn transits the third house, one limits their social interactions, but focuses them more on business, or if there is something productive, you can learn something from this person, you can talk something deep, you can collaborate on something together. So not much time for fun social interactive activities, but for productive ones that take you somewhere. And because of that, a person can really re-examine who do you let around in your life, and eliminate certain friends as well. But the good thing is that Jupiter is also there, so you might be eliminating some people that are just wasting your time, or that you consider that not good people anymore in your life. And they might be mates, teammates, workmates, relatives as well. It can give some complicated situations and difficulties with siblings, with relatives, with neighbors even. But Jupiter very quickly allows for forgiveness if there are such complications, to take the higher view and resolutions of such problems, but also alternative possibilities. But also Jupiter, if you eliminate certain people from your immediate environment, say a group of, you stop hanging out with the mothers from school, or with certain group of friends, or some colleagues of yours leave work, and you kind of feel like, oh, my crowd is not here anymore, or you want to leave your crowd, and people that you socialize on an everyday basis, Jupiter will bring new ones. Saturn eliminates the unnecessary, streamlines it. Jupiter brings new such ones that are more open-minded as well, that are more that will help you grow your perception of the world. Third house rules our perceptions, the hearing, the how you perceive everyday reality. So some who live your life now, and I'm not talking boyfriends, girlfriends here, we're talking more like mates, friends, colleagues, all those relatives, people in your everyday environment. They'll leave your life, whether you want it or not, and others will appear, more interesting, more open-minded, Jupiterian in nature. It can teach you something more. It's fantastic time to build bridges this year. Burn some, but only the very toxic ones, but because of the social house, it's like what you can do is eliminate, for example, certain people that are just taking a dump on that bridge, let's say, and build new bridges with people, with clients, with associates that you can collaborate with. Because your biggest success this year comes, you see later, the more we talk about, comes by combining your energies with others, because your social houses are being activated, and others will somehow help you achieve your dreams, and go towards those desires that you want to fulfill, that we talked about, the desire houses. Third house, let's speak a little bit more, also rules travels, short travels, itineraries, plans. You can be quite busy and it can feel quite stressful and demanding with that. It rules your mind as well. So your mind can feel like, oh, too many responsibilities, mental responsibilities. Especially if you're learning new skills, or if you're burdened with a lot of administrative tasks or communication tasks, more emails, more correspondence, more reports, more books to read, or projects and reports to make, or it kind of can feel overload. And it is and thankfully Jupiter is there as well to help. But it is what it is. But another thing that can happen sometimes is when Saturn is in the third house is the internal narrative. The internal narrative can get a bit more negative. I think you have a lot of help when in 2021 there, because Jupiter is also there. So every time you start feeling negative and more down, and talk to yourself more critically, which is what Saturn is, and start seeing just the dark side of of something. Jupiter is there to allow you to bring an opportunity, maybe to read some uplifting literature, to self-talk, to give you the intelligence and intuition to self-talk yourself out of negative self-talk, and to see the positive side as well, to perceive it. So, but in 2022, only Saturn stays in your third house. So this kind of more strict self-talk, more negative self-talk, more negative perceptions of the mind can increase in 2022. But by then, you have learned how to deal with that energy, because Saturn has been there already 1 year. And there is only one remedy for this internal negative dialogue, especially if you're naturally inclined to negative self-talk and to depression a little bit. This can intensify it when Saturn transits there, the third from ascendant or moon. But there is one remedy, is to talk uplifting literature, to speak, to listen uplifting podcasts. The moment you start seeing you're going down a rabbit hole with negative thoughts and just thinking, oh, this is not going to work, the worst, blah, blah, blah. That's what happened with me with Saturn in the third. I was always beating myself up. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. It all worked perfectly, way better than I expected. So you have to find the way, and Jupiter will help you. Go there, and as many times as you find yourself talking to yourself negatively, because Saturn increases that tendency, say like, okay, Saturn, shove it. I'm going to turn the story around and read something the opposite, positive stories about what you're fearful about, uplifting podcasts. Now there's so many resources. Or just write it from a different perspective, write it down. Again, the ultimate goal of this third house is to help you. Saturn transit through the third house is to teach you how to master your thoughts and internal dialogue, because you see, 99% of all the scare and fear and nervous tension and worry that we go through, it's only in our head. And that's the third house, our mental environment and what we think. And Saturn there can escalate when it goes, and Jupiter as well can expand such kind of fearfulness, nervous states, worrying what will happen, or like 100 different possibilities. But at the same time, it only escalates it, so you can say, okay, enough is enough. it's a mess here. These monkeys here are going crazy. I have to learn and train those monkeys in my mind. And that's what Saturn wants. Master your thoughts, control of your thoughts, learn how to switch from negative to positive, how to eliminate too many scenarios and stresses and worries and in your head, potential developments, and say, I'm just gonna do what I have to do. I'll just put a step in front of one step in front of the other, and I'm not gonna let those possible scenarios and this monkey mind put me in a nervous tension state, put me in a worry state. Okay, and from this third house, Saturn is making sextile to your sun, moon, or ascendant, especially if you have, only for those who have their sun, moon, or ascendant in Sagittarius from 6 to 14 degrees. In Sagittarius, it means if your sun is there from 6 to 14 degrees, you're born from around 28th of November to around 6th, 7th of December. Check the degree. Best is check the degree. 6 to 14 degrees. Well, the sextile of Saturn is really good. It brings extra responsibilities, but which you are willing and very easy to incorporate without like draining you from joy of life, without like, if it's a difficult Saturn of Saturn, it can smash you, with responsibilities or worries. But the sextile it brings you those things, but you make the best out of it. It brings you extra commitments of some sort, especially maybe those third house ones that I talked about. But it allows you to incorporate them easy and to see very long-lasting, stable results. So if your sun is in those degrees, your career, you can make very good choices and decisions in your career that are very stabilizing. Whatever you do this year, yes, it will require a bit more effort, but it will have long-lasting, positive and stable results, say for your career or your goals, or the sun usually symbolizes that. And strengthening, kind of stabilizing influence on your goals in life. And with male relationships, the sun is that authority or bosses. Even if they're a bit more demanding, it will be good. It's stabilizing. Your own authority as well will feel more kind of stable. If it's your moon in 6 to 14 degrees in Sagittarius, Saturn will stabilize your family situations, your emotions. You might feel a little bit more dry emotionally, but at the same time, like you're more able to control those emotions. And it can create more stable, lasting relationships. The moon rules emotional connections. And it's with and as I said, usually only with people that are there for the long term. And remove disconnect you emotionally from people that should not be there, that time wasters, let's say, but create more lasting bonds, more secure long-term connections that last for a long time with other people that are reliable, that which of Saturnian nature, that are more productive, not time wasters, more mature and wise. And you can receive even some help, whether it's your sun, moon, or ascendant, from such people. They called associates, they called people that can, the sextile shows others, can help you. The ones that are having the Saturn sextile from the third house, 6 to 14 degrees, usually more mature people help them, more experienced people, maybe a bit more dry and more authoritative people, but they're very reliable. And any kind of skills that you acquire, they'll be long lasting as well. So Saturn sextile the ascendant can help you have more control over your physical body as well, stabilize your destiny, direction in life, allow you to fulfill goals as well. With more efforts, but they'll be longer lasting, so the same things. And then the other batch of Sagittarius born from 22 degrees till 30 degrees Sagittarius, sun, moon, or rising, they're feeling more strongly Jupiter in 2021. 22 to 30 degrees in Sagittarius, or born from around the 13th of December till the end of Sagittarius, 22nd of December. your sun sign. Jupiter is making sextile, which is the auspicious, gentle aspect to your sun, moon, or ascendant in the later degrees of Sagittarius. Well, now you're going to be helped by more Jupiterian type of people. You will receive some opportunities through them, some support, and these are maybe foreigners, so these are people that are very good, easy. They help you without putting some responsibility on you. They help you without putting some demands on you. Like the previous batch of people who are having Saturn sextile, whatever help they receive from Saturnian-like people, it will have certain conditions. It will have a bit more criticism of it, a bit more demands from you. But the second batch that are getting mostly Jupiter in 2022, 21. I mean, everyone who is Sagittarius will feel Jupiter in 2021 in their third house, but those from 22 to 30 degrees will have Jupiter 3 times sextile or good aspect. Their sun, moon, or ascendant, because Jupiter first goes forward, then moves back, and then forward again over those degrees. So they'll feel Jupiter way longer. So they'll have like people who are more open-minded that help them, that are more progressive, more easygoing. They'll help them without conditions. They'll encourage them. They'll praise them, almost like it will go smoothly without delays. They'll help you open up doors. There'll be definitely improvement of your communication skills, definitely much easier commercial activities, some opportunities if it's your sun there for career to expand and grow fast. And then next year, those degrees 22 to 30 will have Saturn sextiling them. So whatever you grow in 2021 faster, because Jupiter allows this faster growth and opportunity there, then you have to consolidate it in 2022, the later born Sagittarius, and it might slow down in 2022, but it will be more secured. Then you do the streamlining more. But first in 2021 is more of the faster expansion through Jupiter. Whether it's your sun, moon, or ascendant. With the moon, Jupiter sextile moon 3 times from 22 to 30 degrees. Definitely you can see some improvement in emotional connections and relationships in your personal life. If you want to move or do some change with home and family, or pregnancies and parenthood, you receive support. It's easier. It just flows naturally. Some unexpected positive developments there with mother figures or other women in your life if it's the moon. With the ascendant sign, it's everything we talked about can happen. It's right. Okay, so then let's go to Rahu and Ketu. Where are they? The notes. Wow. Very powerful, guys. They're in your signs. Ketu passes through your sign once every 19 years for a year and a half. And Rahu passes in the opposite sign. They're opposite each other. These are the nodes of the moon. They're also indicated by a dragon's mouth and the dragon's mouth, Rahu, dragon's tail. The dragon's mouth is where you get more of, more easily, more materially, manifest more. The dragon's tail is where you have to give up something and sacrifice something, where you excrete something. Well, from the middle of 2020 already, Rahu, the dragon's mouth, went into your 7th house, while Ketu entered your 1st house, and they'll stay there till the end of 2021. So the whole 2021, you're having this nodal transit, which means that eclipses are happening in your sign. When the nodes of the moon, the dragons are the ones that eat the sun and the moon, causing the eclipses. These are the lunar nodes. When eclipses happen in your sign, and the opposite one, the axis, whether it's your ascendant or the moon, this is when fated events happen. Fated events are the ones that the soul has created a contract for before incarnating on earth. And because of that, such, events, it doesn't mean we don't have free will, but certain events, like meeting certain persons, like which children we're gonna give birth to. It's a soul contract that is decided for us on a higher level, maybe with our participation as well. They're kind of fated destiny events, or sometimes what your career is and your mission, not what jobs you do, but but definitely the decisive mission careers. deaths, births, relocations, places we live in, all those things tend to be fated. People that we meet that play an important role, like spouses, best friends. And when the nodes are transiting your signs and the eclipse is happening there, what we've seen as astrologers happen is those destined events happen that realign you to your destiny. If you veered off the path, something happens. It might be quite shocking and a bit crisis prone as well during eclipses, that realigns you to the path you have to be. For example, every time there was eclipses on my moon, I got pregnant. These were years I had children. Eclipses on my sun and 7th house, I got married. Such type of things. Or met very important partners in my life. So such kind of things can happen. Often a person can meet a soul partner when there is the Rahu in the 7th house, or they can end and start life decisive relationships. So it's very, you can take a relationship to the next level and marriages and things like that when Rahu is in the 7th house as well. And often you can attract people that are very Rahuvian in nature. What does it mean? They might be foreigners. You can start a relationship with someone very different. Rahu is quirky, foreign, something unfamiliar, something taboo breaking, or start a relationship or business collaboration with someone that you never thought you'd collaborate. Or maybe someone from a different race, from a different religion, different culture, different political, different social class. Often, when Rahu transits the 7th house, we can marry someone more ambitious, more high in society, or we can combine in business partnership suddenly with someone who is higher up than us, type of thing. Because Rahu can give you certain privileges through relationships, whether access to a higher social class or access to some commercial privileges or financial, or access to something you on your own, out of your own social position in life, you could not access. You can access it through another. It might be a business partner, it might be a collaboration, or it might be a partner, like intimate partner. So you can have some very ambitious, or you can, Rahu transits the 7th house, especially from ascendant, especially from the moon, less so from the sun, but still, the things that can come to you that can shoot you up higher can come from another, and often someone from a different social background than you, or a very different kind of background than you. And it's usually new people that you don't know. I remember when Rahu was transiting my 7th house, I created a lot of partnership. Rahu can give a lot of stuff, and I created a lot of business partnerships. And I'm still basically, and it's kind of, so when Rahu transits the 7th house, you're willing to take more risks, to form partnerships with people you never thought you'd form before, with, kind of people out there, out of your reach. So you're more adventurous when it comes to relationships. And even if you're married, you might decide to take some risky taboo relationships when Rahu transits the 7th house to experiment, Rahu does not care about social, what is right, or morality. Rahu just follows the desire. So sometimes people can have very strong desire towards a taboo subject, illicit subject, or another person who is already taken, or someone married, divorced, or someone foreign that is out of the, like they grew up, say, in a Christian environment, they fall in love with a Muslim. It's not always like that, but sometimes I've definitely seen Rahu do that when transiting the 7th house. It really wants to fun things up when it comes to relationships, and it wants you to take risks and more chances who you connect with. You can really definitely expand your reach to others. Your business 7th house is another business house when Rahu is in the 7th house. By partnering with others, for example, your success comes by partnering, by taking risks with another. I remember I met a lot of new people within 1 week when Rahu was right on my 7th house cusp, opposite from my ascendant. And I met like 10 people, and these people stayed friends of mine, and actually we started even doing some collaborations later on with them. So you can just It is this sudden influx, because Rahu is ravenous. It gives you more, it takes more, you know, in that area of life. You take more there. So in collaborations, in connections with others, in relationships. But again, I have to warn you about the moral thing, especially if you're married sometimes, or if you're in a committed relationship, you might have a desire for something new. You might be excited and drawn by something more, you know, the grass is greener type of situation, because Rahu wants always new things. The old is never enough. Something, I want to experiment. I want to try something forbidden. One way you can channel this energy is by trying a bit more kinky sex with your partner, or maybe shake it up a little bit, try things, maybe travel to foreign countries, do certain things to satisfy this hunger for adventure in relationships. Not to want a different relationship with another person, but if you're like your relationship, you know, so you're not tempted, you have to do something together that is more exciting, more taboo breaking type of thing, you know, something that you've never done before, not necessarily something illegal, you know. But again, sudden rise into success can come through partnership, one-on-one, through collaborating with another, or a partner. You can attract partner, or someone you work with on a daily, on a one-to-one, someone like advisor, who has Rahuvian qualities, is very ambitious, and their ambition drives you to succeed and pushes you somehow forward. They can also be, your partner can be passing through some phase which is Rahuvian in nature. It's like they want to break taboos and boundaries. They become more ambitious, more driven for the limelight, for privileges, for successful material things as well. Or you can attract such a partner of such nature that Rahu is very sexual as well, very desirous, very exotic. You can attract an exotic person of some sort, more material, more exciting, more materialistic as well, more ambitious, and very charismatic, kind of exotic looking as well. But so you'll be surrounded by such more ambitious and driven people that might want a piece of you as well. That's another manifestation of Rahu in the 7th house. Or they can, their ambition can drive you as well to get higher somehow. But, you know, or you can just become more desirous for status through relationships, to take a relationship to the next level, more desirous of certain privileges through a relationship or in a relationship. And then there is Ketu. It's always opposite. It's in your own sign, Sagittarius. So whenever Ketu passes, we have to sacrifice something. We have to give up something usually. And the 1st house is you. So you might have to give up some of your freedom. So you might have to give up some of because of a partner. Maybe give up some of your ambition or some of your preferences because of a partnership. Because Rahu is the more extrovert and powerful energy than Ketu, you know. So you might have to make a sacrifice because of a relationship. I remember that's what happened to me when Ketu transited my sun sign. I got married that year to a very brilliant, charismatic, and ambitious guy, but I was not fully in love there and kind of sacrificed my own what I wanted. I kind of cried and I said, okay, but everyone was telling me that he's the right one for you, you know, he'll take you up there. And it's true, he really kind of getting married in Rahu in the 7th from the sun, I accessed the more privileged social environment and everything, but I had to make a sacrifice. And it's not always like that. Sometimes it just means that maybe your partner is getting more successful in life and you have to make certain compromise there. Or maybe you can put yourself at the back burner for a little bit with South Node in the 1st house. So being, for example, your success can come by partnering with others, your commercial success or financial success, rather than doing it on your own, South Node in the 1st house. Maybe for a moment, you don't have to make things alone this year. You don't have to be so independent. You have to maybe think and say, okay, what does my partner need? Or I need to partner with someone. Or if someone offers you something, collaborate with them. This is what Rahu in the 7th house means. You get more and move faster ahead if you take into consideration others or partner and not try to do things alone with South Node in the 1st house. South Node transiting the 1st house, sometimes if it's your sun, especially your sun sign, it can mean change of career, letting go of one identity, self-identity and career, and, you know, completing something. South Node is to complete, to end something. If it's your moon, South Node transiting, it might be letting go of certain emotional needs of yours so you can satisfy the needs of a partner. And sometimes such sacrifices are necessary. Or letting go of maybe disconnecting from mother, letting go from parental responsibilities of some sort and releasing them when South Node transits the moon. But let's see specifically when it's most intense. There is the first lunar eclipse that happens at 5 degrees Sagittarius on May 26. You can feel it a month before and 3 months after that. Lunar eclipse 5 degrees. So if you have sun, moon, or ascendant from around 2 degrees till 8 degrees, with the with 5 being the most intense, or if you're born basically from from November 25, 26 till December the 1st, the full moon lunar eclipse at 5 degrees is happening on your sun, moon, or ascendant, which means the completion of something, seeing the results of something. Definitely your life will turn around those months, around May, if you're those degrees Sagittarius. They can be completion of a chapter of your life to make space for a new one, seeing the results of something you've been working for a long time, sudden change in life circumstances. If it's your sun, it can be career, with important men, with moon, relationships, family. With the ascendant, it can be your whole direction in life, you know. So expect some fated events around yourself and around that time. And then there is another eclipse in June the 10th, so a month before and up to 6 months after that. You can see this on the 10th of June, exact date, but as I said, it's almost like pre and after, it's almost the whole year. 19 degrees, new moon in Gemini in your 7th house. So born, especially if you're born around the 11th of December is the exact degree, or from the 8th till the 14th of December when we give it an orb, 8th till the 14th of December. So, you know, 19 degrees, it means from 16 till 22 degrees, sun, moon, or ascendant in Sagittarius. You're having a powerful new moon eclipse in your 7th house. Something very important can come to you through another life-changing development. If it's your sun, might be even in your career. Life-changing development even with health, and or with if it's your moon, it might be connected to parenthood, children, mother figures, fated events. You know, when I speak about eclipses, we're talking birth, death, change of career, change of start of relationship, you know, such kind of fated events. But usually with Rahu, it means you gain something, you can meet like a life partner or some important partnership. So something can happen through another that changes the direction in life with this eclipse at 19 degrees opposite of Sagittarius. And then there is another solar eclipse that's very important for you. It's on December the 4th. So again, a month before you can feel it, in 3 months. Or it's a solar in 6 months after that, well into 2026. But it happens exactly around December the 4th at 12 degrees Sagittarius. So if you're from around 9 till 15 degrees Sagittarius, sun, moon, or rising, or if you're born with your sun there, it means you're born from around the 2nd to around the 7th of December. Lunar eclipse, solar eclipse, new moon eclipse on your sun or ascendant or moon, life-changing again. With the sun, it might be huge change in your career, or with your father figure, or with male figures. Sometimes health as well. The direction of your life, your self-identity with the ascendant, your health, physical appearance, direction in life, path in life. And it can be very good. I mean, for me, always the eclipses brought something great. I mean, there still hasn't been a big death or anything like that in my life. So, it might be, it just realigns you to put you on the right track of path, and those fated events happen. So new chapters in your life, that's what happens unexpectedly, and especially in regards to your whole path in life and other people, because it's first and opposite house, because of the nodes are always involved. All right, so big years for Sagittarius. A lot of Sagittarius having life-turning events there. Rahu, usually through the 7th house, always gives us something fast materially. The Ketu, or in the Sagittarius eclipses, first clear space for something. They deprive you of something, they take something away so they can bring you a new beginning, or they help you complete something and see the results and rewards of it. And you let it go after that. You're free from it. Okay, and then, so the eclipse is so important for you guys. Then we have retrogrades, Mercury retrogrades. It goes retrograde again in your social houses, karma houses, in the 3rd, 7th, and 11th. So it's a lot about, again, determining who to allow in your life, as friendships, relationships, boyfriend, girlfriends, all kind of your social, other people in your life. This is what you're really working on. This is what you're really reconsidering. Who do I want? Trying to see a relationship from a different perspective, and all of this. Trying to build bridges, remove certain old ones that are no longer necessary. The first Mercury retrograde happens from January the 30th till February the 20th, so most of February, in your 3rd house, which we spoke a lot about. So it might be like editing some written, spoken, some report, some business activity, redoing it a few times, rearranging your marketing campaigns, redeciding who you want to connect with clients, maybe removing some clients that are just time wasters, and focusing, prioritizing there with your commercial activities, with your business activities, with your communications, with your social activities, maybe seeing friends from the past, reconnecting with sibling you haven't spoken to, with neighbor, maybe having to solve some problem with such people, with co-mates, with co-workers, teammates, playmates, people in your everyday environment. Yes, there might be some stresses in communication, or it might be that there's just revisiting such people, reconnecting with them, or redoing some commercial business activity, or some brushing up on some old skills, or having to use your skills, 3rd house, with more consciousness and presence, and 3 times more extra efforts to put when it comes to using your communication, written, spoken, hand skills, whatever it is, working on some project, usually, maybe in a small group environment, that it gets hectic and busy and you have to put 3 times more efforts, but the final results will be 3 times more lasting and better result, by February, by the end of February, hopefully. So it's good for business because you redo something, reorganize. Just be careful with communication devices, not to break them, not to displace passwords. So on Mercury retrograde in the 3rd house, make sure you check all your facts before you make the decision, all your communications, that they're correct, because some miscommunications can come and you have to fix them. Also, your traveling plans, you have to be a bit more careful, be more conscious and present when you make them. It can also mean that, your phones, your passwords, not to lose them, not to misplace them somehow or break them. This is another thing. And traveling plans, and like cars, sometimes you might have to fix them while Mercury is retrograde in the 3rd house. Change your itineraries. Your plans might be a bit confused or unexpectedly change, so you have to be prepared to be more flexible with plans as well. Some issues can come from the past in regards to siblings, to relatives. You have to address them, or with teammates, workmates, mates of any sorts, to discuss certain issues, so you can correct them Some important conversations can happen during this Mercury retrograde. Plus, Saturn and Jupiter is there as well. So I think there will be a lot of commercial or business activity, or having to learn something, having to fix something about how you use information, the right source of information as well, and so on. And then Mercury goes retrograde in Gemini, in your 7th house, from May 29th to June 22nd, so most of June, from 16 to 25 degrees in Gemini, which means that if you have Sun, Moon, or Ascendant from 16 to 25 degrees in Sagittarius, or if you're born from December the 8th to December the 17th, this Mercury retrograde affects you very strongly. But for all Sagittarius, past relationships can appear, maybe to be restarted, or maybe to be re-examined and to have closure there, to see them from a different perspective. Or you might have to change your attitude towards a relationship, or renegotiate certain contract or agreement, or maybe have important discussion and communication with your partner about the future of your relationship, or how it's going, or if you feel something is unfair, to address those issues. So things from the past that you can bring up to discuss with a partner. Personal, business, or having to use extra skills and communications abilities and extra mental focus and energy in some collaboration, for some sales, for some contract, for some agreement, or having to re-examine whether you want a certain agreement or contract to stay in your life, maybe to change it, or what the rules of the relationships are. Sometimes there might be some delays with signing contracts or agreements as well when Mercury is retrograde. So only so it can be perfected, so the rules can be improved, and sometimes you can bring up matters from the past in things that you're upset about and disturbed in regards to communications with your partner, in regards to the relationships you have, personal, business. So even some of you might decide to re-examine whether they want to stay in a certain commitment with another person, whether personal or business, during that Mercury retrograde. Certain information from the past can come to their knowledge that has to be discussed, or that changes their mind about someone you're connected to, usually personal relationship, or more kind of like equal relationship. Or you might want to re-examine what clients you have, or to revisit old clients and maybe reconnect, restart that relationship with them, and so on. And then, of course, always with Mercury retrograde opposite your sign, be careful for any communication mistakes, for any traveling plans, or any plans that you have, schedules, plans. They can be a little bit thrown off, and you have to be more flexible to be willing to try a different approach as well. And then Mercury goes retrograde from September 27th to October the 18th, so most of October, in your 11th house. Again, another karma house for business, for communications, for interactions with others. You might want to reevaluate some of your friendships, social network presence. It's again how you connect and find large groups of people or clients of any sort, or how you go about fulfilling a long-term dream and goal of yours. You might have to change strategy there, or some business strategy might need to be changed. So 11th house is gains and earnings. You might have to work with 3 times more effort using your skills or knowledge or information on some project that will be financially rewarding, but only when Mercury turns direct again. And you might have to do extra work in a group environment, or for a project that is about large groups of people, or a project that's connected to some networking event of some sort that you have to really perfect it, edit it, fix it, or some product. The 11th house can be product that you want to bring to the public, that you have to, change, fix some issues there as well. But because it's a sextile that Mercury does to your sign, it's usually supportive, and the final result is quite good. Eventually, after some renegotiation, some change of plans, some extra hard work, which is mercurial, mental, intellectual, skill connected. Often people change, their communication strategy, friendships, they re-examine them, and so on. Okay, and that's the Mercury retrograde. Again, social houses, you see, about improving. Retrograde planets want you to be more conscious, more present, to improve any sort of relationship, starting from relatives, siblings, friends, to partners, personal business, to large groups and networks and connections, to large organizations and larger social network, the 11th house. But again, I've often seen when Mercury goes retrograde in such houses, especially for business, the final results can be very good. Okay, and also for personal relationship, because if you're able to address the issue and communicate them effectively, you end up with way better relationships at the end, and with better agreements what roles each one will play. All right, and then Jupiter, the planet that rules you, becomes invisible for a little bit. It's invisible from January the 17th till February 22nd. So when this happens, Jupiter goes to recharge. It's very close to the sun, so we don't see it in the sky. So the sun is the central intelligence. The sun is God, or whatever you want to call it, your higher self. So that's a time when you withdraw a little bit from external activity, even though you'll have a lot of external activity this year, a lot of social connections, a lot of social interactions, a lot of going after your dreams as well. But for a little bit, the start of the year till the 22nd of February, approximately, you withdraw from activities, and only to be reignited again when Mercury becomes visible from the 22nd of February. So even if you're feeling a little bit more tired, let's say around that time, more withdrawn, maybe not so possible to manifest things on the outside, on the material level, it's only temporary. And when Jupiter becomes visible again, you come in with full force, with new ideas from the end of February, recharged and able to make changes external, and to your actions to have results, not to be invisible, and renewed with new ideas, you appear again. So don't beat yourself up in this more withdrawn period when Jupiter is invisible. And then last but not least, the external planet, Neptune, Uranus and Pluto. From them, only Neptune is affecting a very small number of Sagittarius. It's making an aspect, a more challenging aspect for those Sagittarius who are born from 18 till 23 degrees in Sagittarius, 18 to 23 degrees Sun, Moon, or Ascendant in Sagittarius. It means if your Sun sign is there, you're born around from the 10th till the 15th of December. Well, now with Neptune, it can get a little bit confusing. And Neptune is making the square from the 4th house, so there can be some unclearness in regards to family situation, home, place, property. There can be some relocations that are happening, maybe overseas or far distance. This is a good way it can be played out, like, foreign travel, far away places, Neptune. This is what can remedy a little bit the difficult aspect of Neptune square Sun, Moon, or Ascendant. But they can bring some uncertainty or lack of motivation or lack of clarity as to the direction in your life. It's very small number of people, just 18 to 23 degrees, but you have to be aware that everything else matters for you as well. The Saturn, Jupiter that we talked about, the 3rd house, but Neptune can make it, and you feel it strong, can make you a little bit more confused during the year. You might be there's in extreme case situations possibility to be misled by someone, or you to have too big expectations, but things somehow are not as you see them. There's some fog between you and reality, and something that's confusing. So I often advise, because you're having so much support from the social houses, the 3rd, the 7th, and the 11th, that if you're one of those people that Neptune is affecting you, try and get second opinions, try and discuss your plans with others, and because others can give you a more realistic point of view, especially people represented by this 3rd house. where Saturn is the realistic planet, which is siblings, mates, teammates, workmates, associates. Discuss with them what you think is the right thing, because you might not be so certain. And Neptune square Sun, Moon, or Ascendant can also make a little bit the immune system weaker, can make you more susceptible to colds, to flus, to any kind of watery conditions, even retaining water a little bit, because Neptune weakens somehow. But it also will spiritualize you. That's the ultimate goal of Neptune, to make you might even need to take a little bit of a break with Neptune transits, if you're one of those people, to even to postpone very big life decisions if they're up to you, till things are cleared up a little bit. And the best remedy for Neptune transits is prayer. It's letting go and letting God, rather than trying to control things all the time. It's taking a break, even longer break, relaxing, listening to music if you can, take a longer break, going to faraway place a little bit, doing some art, discovering beautiful music that you can escape reality through. So because Neptune wants to nurture your soul, and because it's a difficult aspect, it might force you in some way to do it by making you demotivated in external kind of achievements, or making you a bit confused, so you withdraw and you get in touch with your higher power, with God. So consciously implementing some spiritual practices, like like meditation, like listening to, like relaxing in the bath, like escaping reality in healthy ways, because Neptune can increase escaping reality in unhealthy ways through addiction sometimes, and finding ways to really allow space for your soul, maybe work even with a psychologist, some deep self-exploration that happens, into the family as well, history. And Neptune square can sometimes, I think, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought there. But yeah, so connect with this deeper side, with this spiritual activities of some sort. And even do some kind of charity work if you can. Help others. It's very hard when Neptune squares someone, Sun, Moon, or Ascendant, to say no. A person might feel like they have no power. They have to please everyone. They have to make everyone happy. So it's good to put some conscious boundaries if you can. But still helping others, it's a good remedy. As long as you don't allow others to take too much advantage of you, because you become a bit of a savior. You want to save everyone, even at your own expense. So you give someone a finger and they take your whole hand. But consciously helping in some kind of a structured way another person can be a great remedy for Neptune squares Sun, Moon, or Ascendant. When Neptune squares the Sun, one can be dissatisfied with certain career and direction in life, and take about a year or a couple of years to decide what the next direction is. But any careers connecting to Neptune can go very well, like music, art, healing, spiritual careers of any sort. Neptune tends to amplify them, or careers in pharmaceutical or any mind-altering substances. But with the Moon, Neptune square the Moon, there can be some confusion about how you feel about someone, or what your needs are, and sacrificing your needs too much. And sometimes I've even seen people become mothers of parents with Neptune square Moon, so they learn in a difficult way how to sacrifice their own needs and how to take care and nurture someone else. Neptune is the principle of I deny myself so I can help another person. I sacrifice myself for another person. So you're going to have some of those energies there. And Neptune square Ascendant, sometimes it can dissolve a relationship. Some disappointment can come, some secrets can come to the surface, or it can make you really idealize someone and not see their weaknesses. So again, maybe listen to what others are saying around you. Or Neptune square Ascendant or 7th house can indicate that you get disillusioned with certain relationship and you leave it behind. It bursts the bubble as well, usually by the end of the transit. And yeah, so it's Neptune is a bit hard to navigate because it's really, you can't really see the final plan. Only God knows the final plan, and you might feel confused and not clear about where it's heading. So great advice is really to leave it in God's hand and have more faith. Work on your spiritual faith at moments when it's confusing. And sometimes people can enter your life that are not as reliable, that you project into them things that they're not, or you might even be ambivalent towards others when Neptune squares Sun, Lunar Ascendant. You promise something, but you're not quite certain, or you string someone along. Sometimes all of those things can happen. This kind of the illusion game of Neptune. But the ultimate goal, again, give yourself space, give your time. You become more emotional, definitely, and all those Neptunian activities like music, like contemplation, meditation, they can help remedy and balance the situation. So there you go, Sagittarius. You know, a lot of focus on interactions, on communications, on going after your desires and fulfilling them in achieving connections with building your network. With Saturn and Jupiter in the third house, there might be also some complications with vehicles and transportations, and that you have to work on such and fix them as well. But overall, I think it's extremely supportive here. I think Sagittarius will start feeling themselves, and they're gonna start receiving a lot of external support from others, finding the right contacts, finding the right people to help them get where they want. And yeah, a lot of you might even meet the partners of their lives, make the right contacts, and go after those desires and dreams. A lot of supporting influences throughout the whole year to you. So thank you so much, Sagittarius, and Happy New Year.